All right, guys, so I am now going to work number 6 on suggested problems 13.3. It reads, it's the drug concentration problem. The concentration C of T of a drug in a patient's bloodstream T hours after administration is given by C of T equals 10T divided by 1 plus T squared, where C of T is in milligrams per liter. A says, what is the drug concentration in the patient's body after 8 hours after administration? Well, that's pretty straightforward. All you're going to do on this one is you're going to do C of 8 because they give you T, and that's going to be 10 times 8 all over 1 plus 8 squared, which is going to be 80 over 1 plus 64, which is 80 over 65. They have a which reduces to, has a 5 in common, so it actually reduces to 13 over 16. 16 over 13. So that would be the concentration of that. Now that would be in milligrams per liter. Mils per liter. And that one's pretty straightforward for A. A is not too bad. B is the one where it gets fun. Now, this one it says, during what time interval will the concentration be greater than or equal to 4 milligrams per liter? All right, so first thing I'm thinking is my contextual domain. Contextual domain is, what is the domain in terms of the question? Y'all know I can't spell, so whatever. Well, considering the fact that T is time, I can't have a negative time, but it could be time equals 0. Maybe we can include it, maybe we can't, who knows. And then time is going to go out to infinity. All right, so when I look at this, if I get any negative answers, I just throw them away. I don't even ignore those. I only deal with really whole numbers. Simply because you can include 0 in the time. That's the start of the creation of time. Everything has to have a starting point. Or does it? Good question, isn't it? All right, so here we go. It tells me that my concentration, C of T, is going to have to be greater than or equal to 4 milligrams per liter. So I'm going to set this up, and we're going to have 10T over 1 plus T squared has to be greater than or equal to 4. And now we solve. I multiply both sides by 1 plus T squared. I get 10T greater than or equal to 4 times 1 plus T squared. 10T has to be greater than or equal to 4 plus 4T squared. Now when I have 0 has to be greater than or equal to 4T squared minus 10T plus 4. I'm going to go ahead and factor out a greatest common factor of 2. So I have 0 is greater than or equal to 2 times 2T squared minus 5T plus 2. Now we use the AC method of factoring to factor the inside of the parentheses. Well, I'm going to use my A, which is 2, my C, which is 2, and that gives me 4. List all the factors of 4, plus or minus 1, plus or minus 4, plus or minus 2, plus or minus 2. Which one of these will add up to give me a negative 5, which is my B term? Well, that's going to be negative 1 and negative 4. So I'm going to rewrite my middle term as a negative T and a negative 4T. Of course, that's still got to be greater than or equal to. And I have 2 times 2T squared minus T plus negative 4T plus 2. Remember, guys, I tell you, in between, if you have two negatives, put a plus in between them and treat it as a negative number, not as subtraction, so you don't mess up your signs. Now here, I'm going to group them. The first two, the second two, make sure you have your plus sign right there in the middle. And then I just say, hey, 2T squared and T have what in common? Well, it has a T in common. So now I'm going to have 2 times Ooh, it has a t in common. What am I thinking? T becomes 2t minus 1. Negative 4 and 2 have a negative 2 in common because we're trying to make a 2t minus 1. I get 2t minus 1. So its factors, the 0 has got to be greater than or equal to 2 times 2t minus 1 and t minus 2. That seems pretty straightforward. Easy enough. Now I'm going to take each of these factors, set them equal to 0. I don't have to worry about the constant because I could technically divide both sides by 2. And 0 divided by 2 is 0. And I get this. Reduced down to 2t minus 1, t minus 2. You don't ever see me actually do this step in class. I just ignore the constant. You can ignore it as well. Alright, set both of these equal to 0. 2t minus 1 equals 0. Therefore, t is 1/2. And then t minus 2 equals 0. Of course, t is going to equal 2. These are my critical values because this is an inequality. I'm going to put it on the number line. I want to put 0 here. And none of this matters. None of it matters at all because you don't have a negative time. So I'm going to put my 1/2 here and my 2 here. Pick numbers in between 0 and 1/2. Well, hey, 0.25 works for me. And then we're going to pick a number between 1/2 and 2. Well, 1 works for me. And pick a number on past 2. Why not 5? Works for me. Well, when I actually go in and I take these and I plug them back into my equation right here, I want to get a number. I'm going to have to evaluate this side has to be greater than 4. So when I plug 0.25 in, I get 2.35. Well, that clearly is not going to be greater than 4, so that does not work. When I plug 1 in there, what I actually get is 5. Well, that actually works. That's good. Then when I plug 5 in there, I get 3. Well, 3 doesn't work. So my only solutions are going to be from a half hour to 2 hours. So we write that in interval notation. It's going to be a half hour to 2 hours. And that will be your answer. I like this problem quite a bit. You'll see different renditions of this problem. It's a good real-life application. Actually kind of helps you understand why you have to take your medicine on a daily basis, like allergy medicine or other types of medicine. Simply because it does actually only have a maximum time in which when it's effective. And in fact, a lot of times when you look at the effective amount for quite a bit of the medicine you take, matches right up when your doctor says, hey, take this 4 to 6 hours. That means it's going to be effective, not when you immediately take it, but up to about 5.5 hours. And then you take it again, so it's back into its effectiveness within that 6-hour range. All right, so hopefully this helps you guys out. The SAT problem is kind of a fun problem. I'll let y'all work on that yourself. In fact, both of the SAT problems on 13.1, 13.2, and 13.3, they have to do with geometry. See what y'all remember from 2 years ago.